Professor M. Night Shyamalan. No, wait, no. Let me start over. Professor Heinz Wolff's Gravity is low-key, a budget game that probably should have been released as a WiiWare title, except for whatever reason it wasn't. We're going to have to scale things back a little bit for this review, and remember that this is not the Spanktacular Conduit, which I had just reviewed, because this really isn't even in the same ballpark. It's a cheapo puzzle game, but it's kind of fun. So I guess it's pretty much understood that the Nintendo Wii is a party system, right? Because the default controller that ships with it uses motion control and looks like a crappy DVD remote. The actual generic computer hardware beneath the smooth and sexy white casing just screams to be played by gamers of all kind, which apparently means your grandma and girlfriend. While these bitches are screaming for party shit, or so these companies tend to believe, which Gravity has stuffed in as an afterthought, and it all sucks. Wow, build the largest tower you can with the same set pieces in about a minute. Amazing, and once you reach the top of the screen, then what the fuck? There's also some other crap that's hardly even worth mentioning that's extremely simple, over in a couple minutes, and not worth playing more than once. So let's just talk about the actual game, in which there are 100 separate levels. Gravity's big claim to fame is its utilization of physics. The set pieces carry weight, and it's your job to manipulate objects in order to reach a goal. Typically, when you hit the Z button, a ball drops from a chute. Your objective is to either make that ball or an object bump into the goal. You're usually given a handful of bricks in different shapes and sizes. Some of them are thick and sturdy squares that sit there like a lump, while others are longer, which work more like bridges or even dominoes. You also sometimes have access to other balls that you must bounce the initial ball into. It's all kind of hard to explain, I guess, but you should gain a pretty decent understanding from watching the video, as it's essentially rather simple. Gravity is a simple, pretty fun game. There's really not much to it, and it's never very thrilling, but it's something to do. Stages start to require some decent thinking once you get to about level 40 or so. What's nice is that there's not always a strict path that needs to be followed with each level. Sometimes you can tell that there was probably an intended route designed by the programmers to make your ball find its way to the goal, but then at other times you can pull off something rather funky and fling a brick into that goal instead. It's this creativity that's one of the game's major strengths in keeping it from becoming totally boring and linear and just worthless. A lot of levels usually follow a simple formula. Either make the proper bridges or ramps in order to guide the ball to the goal, or set up a domino rally style pattern in order to smack into it. Sometimes you do both, and on rare occasions use a smaller block as a projectile. There's a definite repetitious nature to it, but such is the way that these kinds of games usually are. I don't love puzzle games, but I do enjoy them. This is the kind of game where I might have a bizarre urge to play for about 15 minutes a night for about a week before I move on to something else. I guess that makes it about average. I would have enjoyed a little more variety somehow packed into this, but I'm willing to bet that for a certain breed of person, this game could even be considered great. You probably already know if you're that kind of person. The controls and physics work exactly as intended. Professor Heinz Wolff's Gravity for the Nintendo Wii receives a 5 out of 10.